And now, friends, I have the honor and the privilege of introducing our guest teacher this morning, Felicia Murrell. Felicia is a certified master life coach and former ordained pastor with over 20 years of church leadership experience. She also serves in the publishing industry as a freelance copy editor and is the author of Truth Encounters. Felicia resides in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with her husband, Doug. Together, they have 4 adult children. You can connect with Felicia on Instagram at hellofelicia_Murrell or read more of her writing at feliciamurrell.blogspot.com. Felicia, thank you so much for joining us at Open Circle this morning.
Matt, I'm delighted to be with you all. Thank you so much for having me. I just really appreciated the practice that Cliff led us through. I was sitting here meditating on my own natural inclination, which is to lean more towards no than it is to yes, to see the negative and to be critical and judgmental, and how much of that is born of protecting my defended self, and just how in the grounding of practice, it brings us back to the truth of our being and back to our yes and leading with love instead of no. So I am deeply grateful for the moment to center myself and to ground and to be here with all of you. In that same vein, in thinking of what to share today, I literally thought my first inclination was to say no, to stick to the comfort of invisibility and to hide my words and my thoughts and to just let the moment pass. And literally, I don't know, maybe a night or two after the invitation was presented to me, in that thin veiled space between sleep and awake, I heard these 3 words: eyesight, insight, on-site. And so for the next day or two, whenever I would have moments of stillness, there was just kind of like a wellspring that rose within me, just kind of unpacking those 3 words in a way that I hope the way that they came alive to me, they can come alive to you today. So, we don't arrive in the world completely pre-programmed with all of our behaviors, motivations, attitudes, and feelings set up, ready to operate at full steam. We all have to be socialized, schooled, led, and taught how to feel and how to act about things, about people, our ideals, what we think and feel about money or the environment, any of those things. And to that end, to gaze on the world with a clear interior mirror, we have to ask divine love to show us what we do not know, what we are unconscious to, and where our eyesight has been muddied or distorted. And that's what clear eyesight does. Clear eyesight allows us to see those who schooled us and how perhaps they did so with both conscious and unconscious biases. Clear eyesight allows us to see what we possibly need to unlearn. And if it's true, as the Bible says, that when the eye is clear, the whole body is full of light, then I'd like to think about and pose the question, how do we polish our interior mirror so we can gaze on the world with clear eyesight? For me, if I were to posit an answer, it would be that it all begins and ends, as Valerie so beautifully said in her story for all ages. It begins and ends with love. Love is the source. Love is the ground of all being. Love is Sophia wisdom, the fount of our life energy. For me, a conscious and active participation with love is how I say yes to the invitation that's possible in every moment. And with open hands and a posture of surrender, love is how I show up in the world Love is how I say yes. And so with clear eyesight, for me, I am looking for where love is leading. And then I lean into its flow because I understand my own natural inclination and proclivity to say no, or to be critical, or to judge, or um, to see what's wrong, for that lens to be the lens. But in the moment of centering and grounding my own self, I can wipe clean the mirror of my interior self. I can remember the truth of my being. I can pause. And in that moment of pause, I offer a body prayer, breathly prayer. Dearest love, wake me up to that which I cannot see, that which I do not know. Wake me up to that which I am unconscious to, that I might have the courage to find love, to find my way home to love. And I think when we begin to participate with love in a conscious awareness of our natural inclinations and where they may fall short from being completely aligned with love, in that place of stillness, in that place of surrender, the inner transformation of our clear eyesight leads to clear insight. And when I speak of insight, I'm thinking of envisioning a more equitable, harmonious world through radical empathy and unconditional acceptance. But crossing the bridge to a better world begins with crossing a bridge inside myself. How do I become a person who can hold both radical empathy and unconditional acceptance? How do we collectively become those type of people? And I think that is an invitation to return to love. The capacity to become who we long to be already exists within us. We are, after all, created in the image of love. And I think, it's just inspired by the art that Cliff so beautifully showed us. I think about Michelangelo, and someone once asked him how he approached his sculptures and, like what was his process. And Michelangelo said, every carving was complete beneath the stone, that it was his job to simply carve away the excess stone that hid the finished work. And I think we are like that, that much of who we are, the truth of our being, lives cleanly below the surface of our defended selves, the excess that we protect. And with lots of patience, the practice of stillness creates room for unearthing the truth of our being, that completed work that's already exists below all the stone, below all the stuff. So I just encourage you to be kind with yourself, to be kind to yourself. That eyesight, the clear and polished interior mirror, allows it all to belong, even the excess stone that's covering the truth of your being. And one of the things about having a clear and polished mirror, we can see it all. And we don't have to deny the existence of what we see. We don't have to resist it, the good, the bad, the criticism, the negative proclivities. We don't have to cut them off. We don't have to judge them. We don't have to rush to quickly fix those things. We don't have to rely upon our programs of happiness that keep us numb and unaware and comfortable in a bubble of illusion. We don't have to do any of those things. In the biblical language, one might say we can let the wheat and the tares grow together until harvest. And then when the strategic time comes for the excess to be cut away, the bastard wheat will be uprooted. And that's what clear eyesight does. Clear eyesight allows us to see things as they fully are within ourselves, within the world, within other people, within the whole of life itself. We can see it for what it is. It's not about denial, but it's about trusting the process of love, that in the fullness of time, what needs to be unearthed, what needs to be uprooted, will definitely be that. And I think we can see time allowing that process in the world today. But with clear eyesight, compassion alleviates guilt, it alleviates shame and remorse, and all of the things that would detract from radical empathy and unconditional acceptance. Let me unpack those two terms, radical empathy and unconditional acceptance, because I want to be clear that our pictures match. When I talk about unconditional acceptance, I'm saying that I get to be me and you get to be you. That I'm not trying to control you or turn you into me. I don't get to dictate you to you. Unconditional acceptance allows for distinction and uniqueness of personhood. And radical empathy begins with imagined embodiment, placing yourself in someone else's life and gazing out upon the world through their eyes, seeing what they see, receiving their pain, their slights and microaggressions, thinking for perhaps even the first time how that person would feel encountering these things, how they would feel about certain policies and legislation or languages or interactions. And then radical empathy transcends imagining a life that we never have to personally live to the kindred connection that opens your spirit to the pain of another as they actually perceive it, not as you imagine it. Radical empathy requires deep listening and allowing your heart to be broken open by the painful or fearful experiences of another in such a deep way that you can never again unknow what you've come to know. And there between these two gazes, right? The gaze of unity, where we are all connected, where nothing lives separate from the other. And this gaze of distinction, where there is uniqueness of personhood and space for the ways in which we vary and the ways in which we're different from one another. Between these two very places of being interconnected and then uniqueness of personhood, and the fact that I don't get to dictate you to you, this is the place of mercy. This is the invitation into the possibility of the moment. What happens as we hold these two places with honor, with love, with intention, with awareness that we are both interconnected and we are unique and distinct personhoods? Clear eyesight leads to clear insight about how I uniquely participate with love. When I am clear about what I have to offer another, I participate on site in the initiative of love with intentional impact. On site meaning how we show up in the world, how we are giving something of ourselves to others. Because love is always emptying and is always filling. There's a self-emptying, a self-giving of love, and then there's a filling and a receiving. There's a giving and a receiving. That's mutuality, and that's the dance of love. We can have the clearest eyesight and the deepest insight. We can read all the books, we can sit in silence, we can pray, complete our daily rituals, our sacraments, do all the things until our heart's content. We can pontificate, but nothing will open us up to joy but entering the stream. So with our interior mirror polished and clear, with our insight to ourselves, to everything about ourselves, the good, the bad, all those things, with nothing swept under the rug, with seeing humanity and society for all that it is, wide open, fully as it is, because love sees fully and loves what it sees. With all those things, eyesight, insight, there's this invitation to not sit on the sidelines and read about or pontificate or even contemplate what we see, but to jump into the stream and to show up on site. Beatrice Boutreau, in her book, Holy Thursday Revolution, calls this the practice of I am-ing, the active participation. I am, may you be, the communion of mutuality that unleashes unconditional acceptance and radical empathy. I am, may you be. I am, may you be. Jumping into the stream, or what I coin showing up on site with clear insight and compassionate eyesight, is to practice curiosity. Does this make the world a place of greater peace? Does this lessen bitterness and increase love? Does this create greater dignity and respect for those who are not like us? Does this result in universal flourishing? And when I say this, I mean you fill in the blank. What I'm about to say, what I'm about to post on social media, does my interaction with this person, does my belief about this thing, does this lessen the bitterness and increase love? Does this create greater dignity and respect for those who are not like us? Does this result in universal flourishing? Showing up on site with clear insight and compassionate eyesight is to practice humility, to go beyond solidarity with to solidarity as, or mutual indwelling, where two cells of one great life exist together. In the Bible, Jesus would say, I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or we of those with Christian backgrounds may be familiar with John 17, when Jesus is praying his priestly prayer before he is to leave the earth. And he says, Father, my prayer is that they may be one, even as you and I are one, that they would be in me and I in them. This mutual indwelling where two cells are of the same one great life. So that's moving from solidarity with to solidarity as. Perhaps showing up on site with clear insight and compassionate eyesight is how we bring Christ consciousness to the present moment. Perhaps showing up fully in our being and participating with love is how we say yes to the invitation of every present moment. What could be possible if our interior mirror was clear and we had compassionate eyesight for ourselves, for others, and for the world? What could we accomplish together if we had clear insight from the bridge of ourselves to the bridge to the world? What could we do together if we jumped into the stream? What possibilities exist for us together as we journey on the path, pursuing love's initiative for life together? I bid you peace and every good as we explore these things together. Thank you very much.